Hey guys, thought we'd take a little bit of time to talk about something that we kind of take for granted but does a whole lot of work underneath your hood, and that's your distributor. Eventually you're going to want to buy an aftermarket distributor for your rig. And there's a lot of different types of distributors you can run in your rig, and we're just going to take a second to show you the difference. Now, aftermarket companies have made a lot of advances with their distributors, but the basics are still the same. They still supply spark to the cylinders, and they also drive your oil pump. You may hear some guys talk about the ignition boxes they need to run their distributors. An easy way to tell if you need an ignition box is just look at the wiring. Distributors that have a 2-wire hookup or pigtail need an ignition box or an ignition module to send the spark to a remote coil that is mounted somewhere on your rig. So, these 2 wires send the signal from your magnetic pickup to your box, and that box is what tells your coil to fire. Now, there are also ready-to-run style distributors. These distributors have the ignition modules built directly into them. And the hookups have just a couple more wires. There's a ground, an attack lead, and the wires that go to the coil. These 2 distributors may look exactly the same, but like we just showed you, the difference between the 2 of them is a 2-wire hookup versus a 3-wire hookup. There's even distributors that have the ignition module and the coil mounted directly to them. Check this out. Now, an Hei Style distributor has the coil mounted directly on top of it, and the hookup's pretty simple. All you gotta do is supply power and hook up your tach. Now, each distributor could work great for different applications. If you're thinking about upgrading your ignition system, there's just a couple things to keep in mind. And the first is room. Now keep in mind how much room you have underneath your hood and between your firewall. You don't want to make it hard to gain access to your distributor. And if you're going to be running an ignition box, you got to find a spot to mount this somewhere. And second is if you want to use a ready-to-run distributor or one with an external ignition module. And third is application. There's a lot of different aftermarket companies out there making distributors, so make sure you choose the right one for your application. And for us in our Willys, we're going to be running about 900 horsepower, so we got to make sure we get ours just right.